Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, where I'm excited to turn it around and introduce the game show host turned pro Protoss player in the blue, the captain. It's Harstem. Up against the top tier Korean Terran, we have Bunny, a best of 3 TVP, to see if the captain can lead his forces to victory, or if Bunny's the only one hopping out of here alive. Best of 5. Jimmy, okay, sorry. I'm not good with the numbers. Speaking of, if we get 1,260 likes on this video, then I'll cast another series. And I'll probably do it anyways, but thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Bunny versus Harstem. This is that extra layer of Terran versus Protoss. I'm excited to find out how people who aren't named Clem, Hero, and Max Pax play this matchup. Alright, it's been a little while since we've seen anything really outside of that range. And I think, with just that extra bit of leeway, which is a very nice way to put it, there's a lot more creativity. And we already see Harstem with a very bold move, not going Blink or Twilight or Robo, but instead opting for the Stargate. Phoenixes to kick things off. The Adept got by, but the Hellion, it has wheels, it is faster. The Protoss never invented wheels, don't have a single unit with wheels on it. And now I'm scrambling to make sure. Technically the Disruptor is like a spinning wheel, but it's not the same thing at all. Not important. Not to get technical, unlike Harstem's build, which Stargate into Robo. It's an old build, but it checks out. Essentially, Mech Protoss. He's got 2 more gases. Yeah. Reaper does get in. It does see the Stargate from the Reaper wall. And he does see the Phoenixes producing. The choice back at home is just to have Cyclones and defend. But this Mech Protoss style is reliant on having the right counter to what your opponent is doing before they can use it. So, in this case, the Phoenixes shut down early Widowmine drops, early Cyclones, just a minimal amount of units the Phoenixes can dismantle, ideally. Whereas the follow-up into Robo Bay helps deal with the follow-up into Bio, the large amounts of Marines and Marauders, and now 3 Phoenixes turn the tide, pick up the Cyclone, and look at it like it'll be knocking them. Okay, they knock it down in pieces. They kill it, it gets destroyed. Stop. Alright, we're warming up here. Harstem obviously already so hot right now, but maybe even after his extended thermal lance is done, even warmer. Double engineering bay for Bunny, who's now going for Stim, but he's kind of running around trying to shoot down these Phoenixes. And there's not quite enough energy. Looks like he just built it up. Marines are a bit debatable on how much you want to use your energy on them, but I guess at this stage of the game there's no real other options. It's unlikely to be able to go into the mineral mine and kill SCVs, at least quite yet. Harstem, Colossus on the way. Phoenixes continue production. He's at 5 and counting, which means he's going for the full Phoenix Colossus. Definitely an older style. We saw this in Wings of Liberty, back when the Colossus could burn everything equally. But the same principles apply. The Phoenixes control the sky, deny drops, shut down Vikings, and the Colossi burn everything underneath. It's a bit of a brittle strategy because both of those units are quite vulnerable to Vikings en masse. But because Harstem has them so quick... Wow. Is that observer not in range of the turret? Bunny... Well, yeah. At this point, I think it's become very, very clear there was an observer involved. Yep, he sees it. There's a Widowmine. I heard a Widowmine burrow. Yep, it's behind the factory there. I think Harstem noticed. Another Phoenix gets picked off, but the drop is shut down before it can even really start. So far, so good for Harstem. He's been able to box Bunny off the map and force him into a more direct path across. One which Colossi are much better suited at dealing with. It's when the drops start forcing you to split your army at a moment's notice that sometimes you're left without enough on the table. But the Phoenixes are pretty much the most active scout you can get. Constantly poking and prodding. And Harstem's done a good job of not overextending or overcommitting them, because he knows how important it is to keep that Phoenix count high enough to deny Bunny the opportunity to drop or build Vikings. Extended thermal lance in 10 seconds. It's just 2 Colossi with a Guardian Shield here to reduce the damage. And that's enough for Harstem. Looks like 1 force field. Very optimistic, but the idea was there. Force field's more an emotional obstacle than a physical one most of the time. Back it on, Bunny. 3rd command center's gonna land. He's got +1 attack done. There's no armory, right? No armory, which means those Widow Mines will remain detectable after burrowing. Also upgrades, but Harstem is taking his 4th Nexus, and he's going for gold in the center of the map. Though Bunny has managed to slip out a couple medevacs of bio to deal with it. I don't think he actually knows about the gold base yet. He's just going along that angle and taking what he sees. Still hasn't seen it. Actually, a bit.
Add-on
wow.
Complete.
He didn't even check. That will end up costing him. I think he missed the opportunity at this exact moment. He could have gotten the cancel on the base, but he didn't even think Harstem would be so bold, have the hubris or the foresight in order to take the base. But now, this should be defended. A lot of damage coming out from the bio, but the Colossi are here, and the Phoenixes are watching over. And now this drop is in Trouble Town. Getting cornered at the ends of the earth. I like the Warp Prism with the Colossi. He picks up, but damned if you do and damned if you don't. Still, though, the Bio Army in the center of the map. Widow Mines trigger. They do damage to both sides. Handful of Zealots taken out. The drop, there's still some Marines. The drop was cleaned up, but Bunny is finding a decent amount of damage down the center, as Harstem has to bring the rest of his army up. The Colossus, he could use the Warp Prism to micro it back. The Widow Mines are recharging. Though, I don't know if he has detection. Is there an armory? It's done now, of course. There's an observer in the mix there. But those 3 mines, I don't know if Harstem noticed. I mean, he clearly did at the time, but he might not realize. Well, at this point, Bunny getting a little greedy and re-burrowing them. So that will give it away, but it will blunt the force of Harstem's push. He's forced to come back and defend entirely. Not ideal, but Harstem with a solid defense on 4 bases thus far. Bunny still trying, he's essentially trying to do the same thing that you would normally do in this Harstem. He sees him. He knows they're there. I don't know where he's going. He's going back home for a quick vacation, but... oh. Giving up some of the map here. But, oh, the Phoenixes. And now Vikings being built by Bunny. Looking to contest more directly. Eventually, you have to build the Vikings, or Liberators, and/or. Because the Colossus count just gets too damn high. Becomes essentially impossible to deal with without that MTF. Only 3 Colossus on the field. It's manageable, but borderline. And honestly, Vikings are not a bad unit to have it most times during the game. Probably the only time you don't want them is against like mass charge lot Templar. But even then, you've got some options with them. Another base. Well, attempted, but a Widow Mine shut down the probe. Bunny has his 4th up and running. He actually has a 10-worker lead now. I think this is intentional from Harstem, keeping the worker count low to keep the army supply high, because you do need enough to match the Terran head-on. If you don't have the same or maybe even slightly higher army supply, it's very unlikely you're going to be able to take a winning engagement head-on. And now Bunny still moving around the center of the map. Warp Prism at the very back, but Well, Bunny's actually coming all the way back to defend, so this is the real win for Harstem here. Single Widow Mine in the mix. The army coming back at all and giving up this position on the map. The Widow Mine at the 5th base, making things difficult. Bunny scans for a Stargate transition. Doesn't see it. Disruptor takes out a mine. We've reached the next phase here, with the danger balls on the field. And no Liberators out there, though. A fusion core is on the way, almost certainly for advanced ballistics, unfortunately. Observer over everything, but the Viking count. 9 Vikings, enough to be an existential threat to those Colossi. But big hit, lands it on a couple ghosts. Meanwhile, Zealots in towards the 3rd. Anything to keep them busy. Harstem started to take more and more map control. He's still, well, he's taken the base to the north. That Widow Mine still holding position. Dark Shrine on the way. The double Ds of destruction are in production. And Harstem has taken map control with something of a vengeance here. As that Warp Prism, the breadcrumbs of Widow Mines, will be roasted. And the Zealots are a lot to contend with. The Bioarmy should be enough, but he's just trying to keep as much of it as possible. Not concentrated on the main fight. The Zealots are a threat. A lot of ghosts in the composition now. The Disruptors are needed to break up the Bio Ball. The Colossi might not even be enough at this point. Advanced Ballistics on the way. Fusion Core. Dancing. And +3 attack for Bunny in production. EMPs, but a broadside. He fires off 3 shots, lands 2 of them. Decent connections. Another shot, just because he can. The Widow Mine remains. But Harstem has expanded everywhere else. 4 Liberators at a time. Scans across the board, scanning for bases, scanning the composition. One of the scariest things is a massive Stargate transition that he's pretty constantly looking for. But Harstem doesn't look interested in taking to the skies. He wants to fight it out of the ground. Another shot. Easily dispatches the mines. But the liberation zones, the Venn diagram of freedom, is preventing Harstem from moving much further. And Disruptor finds a connection. Doesn't quite finish it off. And that Disruptor cored out the army. A bunch of ghosts going down with it. Looks like he lost 3 ghosts. Harstem taking a solid chunk with each of these shots. Just slight miscalculations out of Bunny. EMPs. Archons just evaporate, but the Disruptors come down and force the rest of the army back. Finds some ghosts. Still curving in. Clips a Marauder. Meanwhile, Zealots and DTs underneath, and the surviving Phoenixes thrown into the 3rd. Bunny scrambles back to defend. His DT blink done. No, it's about to complete. And still sharking around. Harstem keeping Bunny on his toes. But Bunny's known for being quite good in that position. DT's still going to work. How many gateways? 11 gates for Harstem, which feels low, even at this point. The Widow Mine remains. More Disruptor shots, clipping edges of the army. Joining up with the DTs here. Another scan doesn't even hit the DTs. Disruptor over the top. Liberators will siege up. No +2 ship weapon. Seems like a bit of an oversight out of Bunny, who does have the advanced ballistics done. More Disruptor shots to the north. 1 picked off, reinforcing. Blink Stalkers, blink forward. And the orbital command is taken out. But Bunny still has a whole lot of army supply. He lost a bunch of SCVs, and he's only now bothering to replace them. Picks up how many Liberators? Just kind of slowly but surely, the Liberator count has grown. We're looking at double digits, 12 of them and counting. The Widow Mine remains. Harstem now building cannons to deal with it. Jesus. The Disruptor drives the point home. A stake through the ghost. And another 2 or 3 are taken out. Maybe more. 2. The Liberators can't... There's 15 Liberators. And They can't spread out well enough to defend all these bases. Harstem is poking and prodding. Though notably for Harstem, he does not have a fleet beacon, and he only has that original Stargate. Another ghost. Feels like Harstem's disruptors just have that little bit of extra range. Or we're so used to watching Clem that everything else is like watching college versus pro. Now just imagine a ladder game. The disruptor count. Advanced Ballistics Liberator. Harstem should be able to build a Phoenix or a Void Ray or something to deal with it. Looks like Bunny trying to siege another one up. I guess the Stalkers work as well. Big oversight on the +2 ship weapons that Bunny notices here. The +2 ship weapons allow the Liberators to 2-shot Stalkers. So that is a significant increase over the 3 shots they normally take. Which is why the moment he looked at them, he started that +2. Are you kidding me? 13 Liberators. There's a nuke on the way. Fleet beacon in production. Bunny has been continually scanning to see if that Stargate transition is in production. And finally it is. But Harstem has done a great job of containing Bunny here. But not quite able to break him. The Liberator count is so damn high. Another Liberator. More. Oh my god. Like, he's maxed out. 15 Liberators. There's a ghost. Oh my god. He doesn't have an observer. Does Harstem notice the ghost? Disruptor shut. The ghost is just in the middle of this fight. He's trying to go nuke. Just wandering the dome out. Let me just scooch past you here. No, don't worry about it. Alright, don't mind if I do. Excuse me, pardon me, excuse me. Blake Stalkers onto the Liberators. Disruptors don't find big connections. Nuclear missile is launched. Though this base didn't really have any probes to hit anyways. But for dramatic effect, it will drag Harstem's attention back. There is just a full line of Liberators across the map here. Move over siege tanks. Flying siege tanks are clearly superior. The ghost is being hunted down by DTs and observers. Harstem has his entire half of the map. Is now looking for some of Bunny's. The ghost got home! He made it home. Special operative, right? Well, 3 ghosts will be slaughtered mercilessly by a misrally out of Bunny. But that very important plot armor ghost, on the other hand, made it, so... at least there's that. Ship weapons 2 done. Significant improvement against the Stalkers. Bunny's taking that bottom right corner. Harstem is really trying to keep him off at least one of these bases. If he can keep... Harstem now has 3 more bases. Though mules would have you not realize the difference there, but... Bunny is slowly but sure... At the end of the day, if Harstem can't kill him, then taking 1 base at a time is fine. But of course, well, disruptor shots, an absolutely overwhelming amount of liberation. He's got 16 Liberators and he's got 4 more in production. We're gonna be at 20. Harstem trying to cut that down. 3 more. Disruptor shot zoning. More Liberators down, but losing a lot of Stalkers in the process here. Well, Harstem actually doing a great job of dismantling the defense. Liberator's a bit unwieldy in a reactionary stance, trying to adapt to wherever Harstem's going with the literal teleporting Stalkers. A command center on the run on the north side gets out before Harstem can snipe it. More Liberators are the solution here. How many Liberators have been lost this game? 16. I think that's about how many he has on the field right now. There's more of the map covered in liberation zones over here than not. When you've reached 100% liberation, then finally, managed democracy can prevail. Sweet liberty. Bunny really doing his best here to make sure that comes to pass. Disruptor shot through the center. Harstem. So, very key point. Harstem has all the minerals, but the gas, not so much. He has 6,500 minerals and 1,000 gas. He's actually worked through the entire northern flank, and he's working on the production now. The production, a starport is cheaper than a liberator, though, so it isn't the end of the world to rebuild if he has to. Bunny comes back to defend. Just absolutely constant action, I will say. Action-packed game indeed, as we shove all these units at each other. Harstem, a mothership, is how we're going to escalate things. And that's certainly an escalation. How many orbitals are on the field? There are 4 orbitals right now. Disruptor volley. Takes out another liberator. There's 8 disruptors to zone while the stalkers try to carve their way across the liberators. But there's so many of them. The zealots are still working on it. Bunny's actually a bit supply blocked from the zealots killing the depots. I don't think they were all cleaned up before. Are you kidding me? 17! And Harstem shows no indication of anything but a mothership from the Stargates. Harstem has no gas. Okay, so Harstem did a great job of hiding his Stargates and his fleet beacon, but then he built the mothership on his main nexus, and Bunny just scanned it. Now, what is Bunny gonna do with that information? I have no idea what you change here if you see them building a mothership. Like, some Vikings? Well, he's supply blocked, so he can't change anything. This is ridiculous. 17 liberators. Well, we needed those liberators, sir. They have weapons of mass disruptors. Look at them. Think of how many ghosts they could kill with one shot. They never do, but they could. Well, another planetary gonna go down. Bunny only now realizing he didn't have building armor. I think just going through and... Oh, he's unsieged everything! He's coming across the map! It's happening! 17 liberators! 16! 15! Disruptor shots against the retreating army. But the disruptors... Oh, that's a big one! Hits underneath the medevacs! More raptors! More liberators! Stalkers getting flanked, though. Not sure what's happening to the north side. It does distract Harstem long enough. Bunny is getting desperate. I don't think he realizes how little gas Harstem has left, and Harstem still has a lot of gas geysers to mine, whereas Bunny has been desperately... Now Harstem's taken that top right base. He's fought a war of attrition against one of the most cost-effective Terran armies for over 10 minutes straight, and now, finally, he may be winning it. If Bunny isn't able to cut all the way through the Protoss here, well, he's making a great show of it so far, but there's a disruptor. Oh, point blank range, targeted down. DT's on the other side. And blunks onto the planet. It ain't gonna happen. Easily slices through. Bunny, tearing up the natural. Harstem still has 200 supply. The mothership, in case he needs a recall, I guess. Liberator's trying to siege up to defend. Dodges a Widowmine hit. Works on the planetary. No resources left, but good to get rid of. More DTs. How many orbitals left? Only 3. So there's limited time scans. He just picks up. Meanwhile, Harstem is working on the rest of the bases. And we're getting closer and closer to checkmate here. As, without building a single Tempest or Carrier, or even Templar of the high variety, it looks like Harstem has successfully outlasted Bunny. He's taken the map and held it. Now, of course, he's losing his main. There's still a small chance that Harstem botches the defense to such an extent we get into a crazy, possibly even draw scenario. But Harstem now has more Dark Templar. Well, then Bunny has SCVs. Well, Harstem also has equal SCV count to Bunny. 0. So that's not really a great stat. But here we are. Still, though, this Terran army, surprisingly effective in the main. Bunny is not done. He's got 3 minerals. He's got a nuclear missile. which is quite a Hail Mary indeed. But the disruptor shots are much more guaranteed damage, knocking them down. Give me the GG with the nuke. I gotta give. If we could give 0.1 points, I'd love to give Bunny those points for GGing. He knew what he was doing. All right, this nuke very likely would have hit all the Dark Templar. Would that have mattered? No. But he GG's out, as the entire game is torpedoed. And that'll wrap up game number 1. Unfair. Harstem, with the patience and the execution. The fights, like, he was willing to take fights where he'll lose units, but win position. And mass liberators, they don't hold ground very well. Alright. They are for reinforcing everything. But if you don't have anything to protect the back line, well, at the end of the day, you can get outmaneuvered. So Harstem, with a solid execution of that kind of mid to late game, it's an old school style. In fact, everything I'm sorry, we're all aging. I know. But the Phoenix Colossus into Blink Stalker Disruptor is like an amalgamation of 5 to 10-year-old Protoss styles, but in the best possible and most effective way. So, Harstem, like the Dark Knight of Protoss. Okay. Not a story we haven't seen before, but the most dramatic rendition. Bunny didn't seem to... He just never found a way to get away from the Liberators. The Liberators are clearly very strong, but there's an argument to be made that getting that far into double digits has diminishing returns. Kind of like how building 20 disruptors is not always a great idea. Like, you've got this unit that is a great counter to a bunch of other units, but on its own can be outmaneuvered. And so many times we see that. Harstem usually hovering between like 6 and 10 disruptors, never committing too much of the army to it. It's gonna be a Stargate again, this time around. An Oracle first. Bunny once again building the bunker as well, which isn't always a guarantee. Harstem just catches the Reaper. Unfortunate break there for Bunny. Now, Oracle's on the way, and this creates a bit of an awkward scenario. Hellion gets out. There's a Cyclone, 5 Marines, and that Hellion just headed out. He recalls back the Adepts. Oracle gets an SCV kill. Cyclone is in the main here. Harstem, gotta be careful. Technically, an Oracle can beat a Cyclone if nothing else is happening and it's allowed to micro against it. But, unfortunately, we don't play games in the unit tester. And also, unfortunately, a Viking comes out, slaps down the spiteful revelation that the Oracle is knocked out of the sky. There's a real Phoenix that comes in, realizes maybe not, and comes back out. Harstem took a 3rd base behind this. Solid choice. Now he has to defend it, though. His unit count right now: 2 Phoenixes, 2 Adepts, and a Stalker. He's only got 1 Gateway. I think Bunny has correctly realized that there's just not that many units out there. And he may be able to get some damage done. Yeah, a lot of cool effects. Maybe we could borrow that holographic Thor or whatever it is. Or even a Thor with a cloaking device. That's terrifying. 111. The triple threat, not 111. The triple threat in production. Stim combat shield, +1 for Bunny. It's going to be a star charge build out of Harstem. In fact, not so much star charge as just charge, as it gets +1 armor, which is explicitly for the zealots, which have twice as much HP as they do shields. So the entire intent to just be tanky as many shots as possible to get up in their face and slash it off, like advanced technological Protoss warriors do. 6 more gates in production, and Harstem actually has already 59 going on 60 probes. So he's got quite an economy to back this up, and he's sunk most of it into those minerals and is very focused on having enough zealots to be able to compete. Still, against a well-equipped bio army, the zealot count needs to be quite high. Oh, star charge indeed. He went back to building phoenixes after getting his infrastructure up. I failed to note. Armor nearly done. Harstem, 8 gates online. Bunny, 3 racks. Only 3? Yeah. Oh, he pulls the boys! Oh my. It's time. Well, this is the classic Bunny we've been waiting on. That timing attack designed to deal with the zealots. They're great in a war of attrition, but there's just going to be so many SCVs in the way. The Widowmine's hit. The force fields are arguably more beneficial for Bunny here. Shield battery overcharge just targets the shield battery. Are there enough zealots underneath? The SCV's being cut down. The bio army has a free fire zone here, and it's tearing through absolutely everything. There's not enough units. The boys held the line, and Bunny powers through it. It was the right choice at the right time, and it pans out for him. A bold call, but not necessarily a surprising one. As Bunny's SCVs, I think he realized he was dealing with that charge-based timing. And then Harstem playing for the later game. Have a bunch of charge lots, and then you can get another base, you can build more tech. Bunny's like, no. All right, I will distract your charge lots, killing my SCVs, so my Marines and Marauders can do enough damage to get the game, to bring the game home. And they do. And that ties us up at 1-1 going into Ocean Bowl. It was the right call. I don't know if he would have made it either way, because it did seem like Bunny was quite committed. That is historically Bunny's go-to play. A timing attack. Something that hits so decisively at a timing you are just simply not prepared for. And the art of it, I don't know, I said it so meanly, but the real art is finding that timing. Because if you do it every game, it's just not going to work out. But, and another part of it is realizing whether it's going to work in the first place. Like, if Bunny had just built 2 more barracks instead of pulling the SCVs, he might have been able to continue. He may have been able to play the game out from there. But he was clearly focused on hitting that timing and seeing how much it was worth. And Harstem just a bit too much focused on playing the game past the 8-minute mark. Classic mistake. Going to be Phoenixes yet again. Harstem relying on the Stargate, which has arguably more potential than the Twilight, but at the same time is more brittle as well. Like, you can get the scouting, you can have constant information, but Stargate units have pretty clear counters, and if you end up losing too many, or even any, in the early game, it can be devastating later on. The Reaper. Oh, what the... There's nowhere to run. Still tries to intimidate them. Stop right there, criminal scum. Think about what you've done. Oh. Till my friend gets here. Oh my god. Does he lift again? I don't know if that was a moment of debate from Harstem, like, do I have to? But that lift may actually cost him. As not having any lifts, or only having one on the newest Phoenix, may make the difference in the coming fight, which Bunny is not willing to let Harstem just sit back and build up. There's not even a shield battery here. Oh, this is a bit awkward. Well, at least he's going to be able to deny the third. The shield battery is very important, but I think Bunny got everything he wanted here. He denied the third, and now he's kept Harstem off balance. 4 Phoenixes are enough to intimidate pretty much anything that doesn't have the Viking and the Cyclone nearby. No, there's not enough energy for too many lifts here. Couple freebies. No Widow Mines yet. Though a reactor on the factory indicates that might not always be true. Well, Colossus already in production for Harstem. Again, that Phoenix Colossus style. Just as Bunny is going Widow Mines, and Colossi are quite well suited to dealing with the mines. So if you can bait, Harstem mixing it up again. Switching from Colossus to Charge, back to Colossi. And the Widow Mines just aren't as well suited to dealing with this, clearly. The Colossi have range, the Phoenixes can potentially pick them up before they even fire. So that means Harstem, I think, getting the better end of the early build order exchange, at least so far. But of course, no plan survives contact with 2 medevacs sneaking around the map. Unless you can make contact with the 2 medevacs sneaking around the map, in which case, Harstem can likely kill them, and that would be a near game-winning move. The Phoenix is still looking around, but that double medevac drop... Harstem knows that Bunny is out on the map. He just doesn't know exactly where and to what extent. Another drop loaded up. Who's flanking who? The double drop into the natural loses 1 Phoenix. A lot of damage coming up. More medevacs spotted. But both sides trying to deal with everything at the natural. The Phoenix loses a couple more. Almost gets the medevac. Forced back. 5 probes down, but the drop is handled. So, what are the losses? 3 Phoenixes dead for minimal losses to Bunny. Not ideal for Harstem, getting caught off guard by the drop. Didn't quite have the vision. And this is such a brittle unit composition. It's going to be difficult to recover from that again. He needs extended thermal lance. He's got it. And he needs to have vision of the medevacs at all times. And so far, he has that as well. Trying to target down, gets one of the Phoenixes. The Colossus is dead. That's problematic. Another Colossus pops out, but this is doing a lot more damage than it was supposed to do. This should have been a cleanup. And I acknowledge how terrible that statement is, but instead, Harstem scrambling to defend. And Bunny still working around the edges. Though, as is customary, Bunny still quite late on expanding. Really focused on getting the damage done. So, Harstem, all he needs to do is hold, and he's holding. Though, it's not particularly easy. Observers all over the place here, spotting. Medevacs on either side, Widow Mines added in. How many Colossi on the field? 2. A third one, and +1 ground weapons. Very important things that Harstem desperately needs to solidify his position. The Phoenixes... The observer, slightly out of scan range there. Bunny has to assume there's an observer close enough. If he picks up and tries to drop, that could easily spell disaster. But, well, Yeah, the army waiting for its opportunity. Bunny has 20 more army supply, but he has to attack into Harstem, up a ramp, into shield batteries. And Widow Mines, we'll see how close they're able to get. Charge is on the way, but it's not done yet. The Zealots are just meat shields at this point. Gonna pick up some of the Zealots. Bunny does have his third online. So many Widow Mines. 8 Widow Mines on the field right now. Just now building Vikings is an important note, as until this point, he's not had any to directly deal with the Colossi. Finally finds the Observer that's been watching his moves essentially constantly. Another Observer. Another Observer comes out. The revolving door pops out another one. Warp Prism speed on the way. He's trying to hunt down the Observer, but this one's close enough to the base. So this time around, Bunny's got the contain on Harstem. But it feels more like Harstem is just waiting to build up his army. He's not too unhappy with this position. Ideally, he'd break out, but a warp in. The Vikings will be able to take it out. What's happening down here? Oh, no. So, a few Zealots and a War Prism taken out. Pale in compare. He gets 2 Archons out. I'm not sure where the 2 Archons came from, but he gets them out. Disruptors, though. It feels like Harstem, with losing that Prism and a Scouting Colossus. Blink is not ready. And, wow. Look at the mini-map. Those are Widow Mines. Bunny has made it very treacherous to move out in any sort of fashion here. Harstem still has a lot of army supply. All it takes is one big disruptor hit to break out. But Bunny is hedging his bets. He's got a 4th base on the way. He's got +2 attack coming up. Widowmine hits again. Maybe it's a different one. Impossible to tell at this point. Disruptor shots. Guardian Shield. They're still flirting around the edges of a fight here. I think Bunny realizes he has the position. There's no reason to risk it running directly into this army if he can continue to deny a 4th. Disruptor shot, but the moment he looks away, Bunny comes up the ramp here. There's double robo at the natural. 4th base. Harstem. Pretty desperate. Long distance mining with probes. He has enough of them. He just doesn't have the bases to mine from. Trying to split the actually gets both. I wasn't sure. Splits the difference on the mines. And more shots. They're gonna lose a Colossus immediately. Disruptor shot slams the point home though. Fuel battery overcharge barely keeps the Colossus together, but all the probes caught transferring between. And suddenly Bunny smelling blood in the copious water here. Harstem unable to compete with the Bio Ball. The Disruptors they can't pin him down. The Viking count is too damn high. We're slowly shifting into just Blink Stalker Ruptor. But Harstem doesn't have the contain like he did in game 1. He's contained himself. Still long distance mining with the surviving probes. It was optimistic. Does he just blink out? Yeah. Again, scanning. Disruptor shot to kill the mines. Patience from Harstem, but he needs to land the hits. But it's becoming, like, even if he kills off this army, it's going to be difficult to compete with the next one. And now the Disruptor, or the Liberators, are here to try to lock things down. The Vikings just looking for whatever they can. There were still some Phoenixes left over. Oh no! The Disruptors are caught. They go the wrong way. And Bunny, he was waiting for that moment. He finds it. And all it takes is a split second. He distracted him with the Vikings, of all things. He ends up being able to lock it down. And Bunny's up 2-1. Harstem never able to really scramble back to his feet on that one. Tough games for Harstem, as Bunny has kind of figured out. Hit him early, hit him hard, and he's not going to be hitting back very easily. But going into Alcyone. Not sure how I feel about this map as a Protoss. It's not the worst. It's not that. It's not great, not terrible. You've got the gold base opportunities. You've got the choke point at the watchtower, which kind of works both ways in this matchup. Chest bump there between the workers. We'll see if he opts for the Stargate yet again. I think Bunny has adapted really well. Game 1, he didn't focus on the aggression. He tried to just get the on paper perfect composition, which is that mass liberator, plenty of ghosts, but unless you have near perfect anti-disruptor micro, it's vulnerable. He just built a bunker. He's just building a bunker. There's a bunker. This is my commentary because I said hit him hard, hit him fast, but I didn't quite expect it to be this blatant. He's just... Well, if he loses the Reaper, obviously, that wouldn't be ideal. Oh, Harstem's not going to be happy about this one. So, the bunker is annoying. And he can't mine from this base for a bit. It's not deadly. It's not particularly cheap for Bunny either. So it comes down to whether or not Harstem is able to deal with this cost effectively, and whether Bunny has any sort of follow-up plan, and how well he's able to execute it. It's going to be Stargate yet again. Every game so far. He's actually fighting with the Adepts. About to have a shield battery here. Taking a bit of hull damage. I guess not hull damage, it's just physical, like biological damage. Just damage. It's enough of describing different types of terrible damage. Stop! Well, Harstem is just by. He is taking this calmly here. A salvage attempt. Once the 25 mineral restocking fee gets his money back. So... it definitely skews the game a bit. It wasn't free for Bunny to do that, even though he gets the money back. That was minerals he could have used to progress his build back at home at the time. The Reaper may actually get out here. The Adepts are on the chase. Oh my god.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Hellions. Hellion. Into the main. Bunny. Just running it around, being annoying. Which is an optimal Terran strategy. Harstem is going straight for that mech Protoss yet again. The Robo Bay should be starting momentarily. Continuing to build the Phoenixes. And Bunny still following through on what he's learned is an effective strategy, which is just throw things at him. Alright? It doesn't necessarily have to do well, it just has to do something. Because most of the victories Bunny has taken in fights in this series so far have been when Harstem was slightly distracted by, like in the previous game, the disruptors were slightly out of position because Bunny sent his Vikings towards the main. And in that split second it took to deal with the Vikings or really register what was going on, the disruptors were caught and killed. Phoenix is zoning out. So this medevac over here, buddy, again, on 3 barracks. No third command center. Very notable point. Write that, jot that down. No 3CC does stand out at pretty much all times, even in this matchup where the third command center is usually a little bit later. Not past 6 minutes later, though. At least not usually. Does he? He's not going to. I don't think so. That's a lot of bio coming out. He puts so many units together. He's gonna take the third now. But this is just an old school full-on bio build. Has a lot of units on the field. 23 Marines, 4 Marauders, Army Supply, 20 above Harstem's right now. But Harstem will have a shield battery. He doesn't have extended thermal lance, and he doesn't have it in production. The Widow Mines, a danger to both sides here, but certainly help defend against the Phoenixes. And there's a medevac headed in towards the main. There's Bunny. Oh no! The map is dark and full of Terrans, including the edge of the main. Oh no, this is the kind of stuff that could spiral. Harstem didn't quite spot it. He set up the pylon just moments ago, but they were already inside the house. The pylon is targeted.
Who does that?
And Harstem is actually supply blocked. Coming back to defend, Harstem knows he has to deal with the attack at the front. But he's just gonna drop on top. Buddy's about to drop Widow Mines all over the army. Right on top of everything. Point blank range. Trying to get the shots up. Dragged into the Phoenixes. Mutually assured devastation right now. But it's just too much. And in the time it took Harstem to win game 1, Bunny takes 3 games in a row. And Harstem was such a particular style. But Bunny hits him hard and fast. And it just doesn't stand up on those spindly Colossus legs. Bunny learned his lesson. And he learned it very well. And he takes it 3-1, but still, a fun and educational series, I think, here from the captain and Bunny. And I hope it made your day just a little bit better. Thank you for watching. If you got the means of motivation, be awesome. Check out Patreon. YouTube membership is also amazing. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free for now. And checking out Recommended is amazing. Very helpful to watch the next cast there. And the second channel is kind of unrelated. Streams, VODs, other games. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.